Hey everyone, I'm Jessica with SewTites, and today I'm going to talk to you about all of our products and how they're used. And then at the end of the video, I do have a couple of kind of housekeeping, frequently asked questions that I would like to answer for you. So let's get to it. Okay, so this is an example of our originals and what they were originally made for, which is bag making. So this is just kind of a basic example of using cork or vinyl or leather, and when you have something that you want to sew onto a bag when it's away from an edge. Each SewTite comes with a metal backing and the magnetic top, which on our originals has 3 pretty strong magnets on the back. You just place it in place. It holds it nice and tight while you stitch. This example specifically has 2 layers of quilting cotton, 1 layer of stabilizer, and then the vinyl. Hold it nice and tight so you don't have to use pins. And then this example is something that a few people came to us and said, we think these would work well for embroidery in the hoop. One person specifically is SewTites. She's done lots of videos about our products on her website and on her YouTube channel if you want to check her out. Suki Sews is her alias. So this is an example of embroidery in the hoop. There's the metal backing on the back. You have your stabilizer and then the fabric that you're floating in the hoop, and so this allows you to keep it nice and obviously this is not as tight as you might have it, but it holds it nice and tight while you're stitching. This model is our HD, which stands for heavy duty. It is our strongest model of all of our models. It has 3 very strong magnets on the back. We developed this model specifically for bag making, as well as embroidery in the hoop for super thick materials. So our originals work well for bag making when you have 1 layer of stabilizer and a couple layers of fabric and maybe a layer of vinyl. But if you are somebody who likes to sew by Annie bags, for example, that use multiple layers of stabilizer, they don't work, they don't stay together. And so the HD is designed to actually help you get those really thick parts of by Annie bags and other applications held together tightly and securely so that you can sew rather than even like bending and basically having to throw away a straight pin every time. So this is an example of, there's the back again, and 2 layers of soft and stable as well as the 2 layers of quilting cotton. And the trick with these is that you put them together. They kind of still are a little loose, but then if you give it a little bit of a squeeze, it holds it really nice and tight, even 2 layers. I believe some people are getting even up to 3 layers if they're just kind of careful and gentle with them. And then these also work great for embroidery in the hoop with really thick towels or multiple layers of thick materials. The trick with embroidery in the hoop though is that you have to make sure it is a thick enough piece of material, or a thick enough project that this metal plate has a lowered residual strength so it doesn't get stuck onto that metal throat plate. So people are also using our products for English paper piecing. When you English paper piece, a lot of times people get really fatigued hands, their hands get worn out, they have arthritis, things like that, and it makes it harder for them to stitch. So people are also using our originals for English paper piecing. A friend of ours, Kitty Wilkin, night quilter, came up with the idea of using them for this purpose, and it's just really taken off. And so you again have the back piece on one side and the front on another, and then you stitch along the side. The only problem with this size model was that it was a little bit too big for things like hexies, 1-inch hexies. So we ended up coming up with a model with our purple model, which we call the mini. This model works great for when you are using hexies and smaller pieces. They are about 1 inch long and they have 2 stronger magnets on the back. They work well for the people who are flat back stitchers or when they're putting together their quilts when they're English paper piecing. So they'll put the back there and the magnets kind of straddle the seam, and so it holds it nice and tight while they're stitching along the different areas, and they can put multiple along, especially those bigger pieces as they're putting them together. Next up is our dot, which is a little circle that has just 1 magnet on the back, and it's our strongest magnet, but because there's only 1, it isn't our strongest seaming magnet in use. A lot of people love this for English paper piecing or wool applique in this example. You put the metal plate on the back, magnet on top, and then it allows you to stitch along and not keep your hands so tired, and it holds things in place. This actually can hold more than 2 layers. It can hold quite a few. This right here is pretty darn tight. One thing that's great about our little dot, you have a piece that you want to be able to sort of shift along. This one's easier to do that with because it is just one magnet versus the mini, the purple one, and the original. Since they have more than one magnet, they don't move and shift as easily as this one does. All right, this is our latest and newest model, which we're super excited about. This is the Tula pink version of SewTites, a Tula pink heart. TP plus U, like she hearts you. We did just release these in early January. They are in stock now and you can order them on our website. Tula herself did an amazing video of these and how she uses them. You can see those on her social media pages and on her YouTube channel and things like that. It's also embedded in the product description of our website if you'd like to see how she specifically uses them, as well as kind of the concept behind the product. These are our sticklers. These are little silicone stickers that you can adhere to the back of your SewTites to make them non-slip. So if you like to sew when you are in the car or on the couch or different things like that, and you have trouble losing your SewTites into the couch cushions or things, these will help them so they stay in place while you're switching pieces. So to use these, you simply peel them off of the package and then stick them on the back of your metal plate, and then it makes it so it won't slip off of your couch cushion, your leg, whatever it might be while you are sewing on the go. This is our Magnum. It's our longest model yet. It's 4 inches long and it has 5 strong magnets on the back. This was developed specifically for loading quilts onto Longarm machines, the quilt itself as well as the backing. One of the people that was very integral to developing these products is Sarah Thomas of Sarah Diddy. She was one who definitely pushed us to get a longer model made for this application. When you load the quilt, this is kind of a makeshift example here, but you can load it onto the leader. So you have the back on the back, and then you put your quilt onto the top. Obviously this example is already kind of stitched a little bit. When loading the backing onto the machine, you can just put the magnet itself and not have the plate. Another tip when you're loading is to slide these into the leader sort of pocket and stitch them in so that they're just in there permanently, and then all you have to do is attach the quilt and the SewTite on the top to get it on there. Sarah also has done an amazing video for us on these, on how she loads them onto our quilt. Those are available within the product description on our website if you would like to see how she does it and learn more. Also, our minis and our originals, really any of our models will work well for basting instead of using pins. So people have been using them. Again, you put the back on the back and the top here, and then it holds everything in place while you're machine quilting. Another use that people have found for them is to use them for basting. So they hold them on here and then they kind of slide them down as they stitch along the edge. People have also been using our products a lot for sewing fabrics like minky, very stretchy fabrics that are hard to pin. And again, it's just putting the back layer on there and then having the top layer up there, and it holds it while you're stitching along, whether you're quilting or you're stitching along an edge. This is an example of using our SewTites for pinning patterns onto fabric when you're cutting them out instead of using straight pins. So it keeps your patterns from getting a whole bunch of holes in them, especially the ones that you use quite a bit. And then you're of course not poking yourself and things. So it will hold it nice and tight while you're going around and cutting your pieces. This is an example of using them when you are sewing like a pocket onto a piece of apparel. Again, it's pretty simple. Just put them on there and then hold it nice and hold it in place while you are getting ready to sew that on. This is an example. It's also kind of worn and folded from our trade shows when we get to do those again, but this is an example of a lot of people are using SewTites for cosplay or for costume making. They're using special materials like vinyl. The SewTites allow you to, again, pin them either in the center of an area or just pin them without putting a permanent hole in the piece, and so then holds it in place while you stitch along. So one question we get a ton about our products is whether or not they are safe for computerized sewing machines, and the answer is that they are. There's not very much residual magnetic force once you put the fabric between the magnets and then put them through your machine. And also your computer is like way up above and your bed is down here. So it's way far away from there. We've also checked with sewing machine manufacturers. There's no issues. We have tens of thousands of people using our products all over the world without one issue. We do have some people say that the magnets come apart when they slide them through the machine, and that means you might be using too strong of a SewTite for your sewing purpose. So if you're using the HD, you really only want to use that when you have lots of layers so that there's not residual magnetic force to make it so that your the back of the SewTite will get caught on your throat plate and come off and come undone. Another very important thing when it comes to SewTites is that you slide them apart. You do not pull them apart. They are super strong magnets, and that makes it really hard for you to get them apart if you pull them, and it can damage them. So just make sure you slide them and you don't pull them. One more thing that I wanted to talk to you about today is magnet safety. So Jamie and I are moms ourselves. One of our biggest sort of concerns and worries is that somebody is going to let their children and their toddlers or their pets play with these things. We have manufactured them and did not come apart. I know we just had an issue with the Tula ones, but we fixed that issue. And one of our biggest fears is that if this comes undone and it gets lost or ingested by a child or a pet, it can be very dangerous and deadly. So please make sure you don't let your children play with them, although they make a great tool for teaching kids how to sew because then they don't have to use straight pins and poke themselves. But just be safe with them. The other thing is that some people are using the SewTites on their shirts as needle minders, which is a fantastic use, except for if you have a pacemaker. If you have a pacemaker, do not use these next to your pacemaker. We would hate for something to mess up with your pacemaker and cause heart issues. So please keep them away from that if you do have a pacemaker.